Welcome to the DJ Insider Podcast, sponsored by Amplified Events.
It's the only podcast where we break down insider information from our weddings, experiences, and advice from over 15 years in the wedding industry.
We're your hosts. I'm Mike Kane, owner of Amplified Events.
And I'm Chris Zart, general manager of Amplified Events.
Let's get into it.
Okay.
Hello.
We're back. Episode 12.
Yes.
I still am trying to find a way to get chairs in here so we can interview some of our team and some of
We
our
got to get the
friends
other bros in here.
in
Yeah.
the industry, and also some people that aren't our friends yet.
True.
So I like the shirt. It's a new shirt.
Thank you. Yeah, I literally just bought it.
Sunflowers.
15 minutes ago.
That'll work. Okay. So you were off this weekend, family vacay. I had a wedding. We had one on Friday, and then we had 3 on Saturday. It was good.
Where were you guys
at? So I just worked Saturday. Kyle was at Sandy Pines on Friday, and then he was at the Spa Event Center in Chesterton there on Saturday. And then John was at a place we haven't been to before up in Cassopolis, Michigan?
Cassopolis, yeah.
Yeah, Marion Magnolia Farms is where John was. And then we were at the Gary Marquette Park Pavilion.
Gotcha. And also that one you mentioned in Michigan, I actually just talked to a client who's having a wedding there. So
cool.
I'll be going there probably next year. So it sounded gorgeous there, like outdoor-ish kind of venue. And
talk to Sweet John Boy about how that went and set up and stuff. But yeah, I think that went pretty good. Ours was interesting. So they did ceremony cocktail, but they had like a live musician take care of that. So we just had intros, dinner, dancing, like intros, dinner, speeches, dancing.
Chill night for you guys. Yeah.
Unique thing about that venue is there is like a weird third floor kind of mezzanine catwalk. And the couple wanted us to set up. The venue likes you to set up there, and the couple likes that. As a DJ, you don't like that. You don't ever want that because what's happening
above everybody else? Is
yes.
that kind of what you're
saying?
saying?
You're up in a tree fort, and everyone else, your dance floor, everyone else is down low. And the reason, as a DJ, you don't want that is you can't hear how loud or quiet things are. You can't hear how it sounds. It's just you're getting the echo, reverb, feedback after everyone else has heard how it sounds. You're hearing it way up. And so because the person controlling how it sounds is not anywhere near where it sounds, it's going to sound terrible. And so, before the couple booked, I tried to explain, yes, I've been there before. The last time I was there, I was able to convince the couple to let me be on the main floor, and I just set off into a corner, and it sounded great. It sounded awesome. We had a good dance floor, but the couple maintained that, there was a lot of guests, and the venue assured them it's fine. And, we had a full floor all night. So we picked good songs. The couple picked good songs. They had a great dance floor. I mean, it was like a 10 of 10 dance floor. But sound-wise, I hope it was good. It sounded like trash to me.
Yeah.
We did have somebody come up towards the end of the night and be like, it's real bassy. All I hear is wah, 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 wah. And I'm like, oh, thank you for telling me because no one has come up. I just cut the low end a little bit. So,
but yeah, how are you going to know? And also, I'm remembering being at that venue now. It's just been a few years. But I don't like the separation, too, of like if I have to go and do something, then I have to run down, and then people have to, I guess the only thing is guests have to work to get to you.
Yes,
if they want to ask for songs or something.
The couple were super nice. They were super kind, and they were really easy to work with. So I have no criticisms there. I do feel like when you hire a professional, you should listen to their professional advice about, especially if they've been to the venue before, about those things. They were, I feel like, listening to the professional advice of the venue, which the venue, they just don't want to deal with the DJ. They don't want to, so it's like, throw them up there. But they're not DJs. They don't know what stuff sounds like. They don't deal with what we deal with. And so it's quite frustrating when, you can't make it sound good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What I've learned in the years of doing this is, if it sounded bad, nobody really complained. And if it was a problem, I guess I'll never know. It was a problem for me because I noticed that stuff. I notice immediately if it sounds bad. But it's what it is.
It's all the little things you do that really, like, no one's going to be like, wow, he is EQ'd perfectly. No one's going to be like that. Yeah. But people definitely could be like, wow, that's too bassy, or wow, that's too loud, or whatever. So, having a good control over your like sound quality is super important, and it's just one of those things that goes unnoticed, but is definitely noticed when it's going wrong.
Yeah, I feel like every sound engineer, every DJ, every musician, they know when it sounds good. And so anytime I'm at a bar, I hear a band or I hear a DJ or I see a live show, and I'll go up and talk to the sound engineer. I'm like, dude, it sounds amazing. Yeah. And I tell him, like, I'm a DJ, so I know, like, this sounds good. Like, so I appreciate, and that's why I try to verbally tell people, because I don't think they hear that a lot. I was in New Orleans last year, and there was like a ton of like live music, bars and DJs and stuff. And there was a few that were like, "Whoa, this sounds good."
Yeah.
And there was a lot that were like, "Ooh," it did not sound good. But it's what it is. But I don't know. It just, I thought it was interesting that those little kind of annoyances for vendors happen all the time, and I'm sure they happen in every kind of industry where someone is paying you for your professional expertise and your advice and your, all that, and they don't really want to listen. And I'm sure you have that with photography, with flowers, with the venues, with planners. I'm sure they deal with timeline issues all the time, like fighting kind of that back and forth with the couple. They have a vision of how they want it to go. Yeah. But as a, experienced person, you're like, well, I'm concerned this and this will happen, because of that. And so, yeah, to me, a good wedding service industry professional is somebody who's knowledgeable and experienced, but also able to deliver that message in a very candid but also professional way, where it's not insulting the taste of the couple, it's not insulting the couple's intelligence.
Yes.
But it is taking into account your experience, your knowledge, and able to then, translate that and be teachable to the couple to help them have the best night possible.
It's probably not common that they have been to as many weddings as we have been to. Yeah. It's just kind of like a rare thing that we get of just this being our job, is that we have just been through it enough that we know what's right, what's wrong most of the time, generally what would be the best fit and what would just make the day overall like run as smooth as possible. It is
a unique thing because it is somebody's wedding day and they have a vision and they have a lot of ways that they thought this would go.
Right.
And they have a lot of ideas, but typically they're not a professional wedding vendor, so they don't go to a lot of weddings, and so they don't really know what it is they're asking and how their vision may not align with the reality of the limitations of their venue, of their schedule, there's so many factors that can then put a damper on those things.
Yeah.
But no other industry, you don't have a plumber, you call them in, and then they're telling you how they're going to run the pipes or the gas line. They're like, well, I kind of envisioned it would run this way. And then the plumber's like, well, you can't possibly do that because of physics of how your house is built. And I could do that, but it's going to cost, I'm going to have to tear up everything. It's going to cost a lot of money. So
we're not just providing a service, we're providing like an entertainment service.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that there is kind of like creative types that are in entertainment services, and I feel like it's easier to tell them kind of what to do more than, like a surgeon, a plumber, something like that, where you're just kind of like letting them do their thing.
Yeah, it's a different. Also, people don't have this like, I'd always envisioned my plumb lines run this way. Like they just don't have that. They're not attached to it the way you would be to your wedding day. Obviously, it's a different, you can't compare them one-to-one. I've always wanted my heart valve to be over here. Is there any way you can do that? Cardiologist.
That's true.
But yeah, I think, have you had things like that? And I have a few that I'd like to share, but do you have things, those little annoyances that couples, they make asks and you're like, well, this thing, or you are like, because you do this every weekend, let me say this thing to you because I know this is probably going to happen and it's going to cause XYZ to occur, and I don't want that to occur. What are some things that you've experienced that are kind of fit under that umbrella?
That's a good question, and I have like a million. But I think one of the biggest ones for me is kind of when we do speeches and when we time that. And I had a couple, I think sometime last year, and this happened a lot, and I would say 99% of the time they do listen to me and they're like, oh, I would have never thought about that. But they were kind of talking, they're like, okay, so I think we'll do introductions, bring the bridal party in, we're going to cut the cake, go right into dinner. I already like that. Like they're getting cake kind of out of the way, kind of one less thing to do later. So it's going good. And they're like, as food is being served, we'll just kind of like start speeches. And I was like, well, okay, here's the problem there is that, and there was like a 15-minute gap, is that we would go to sit down to eat, but we wouldn't really be eating. We would, me and the photographers would be sitting down and then immediately getting up again and then have to get back to work. And then also they want to do speeches as food was being served, which means like plates are clinking, servers are walking around. So there's a videographer there. So they're going to be walking in front of their shots and stuff. It's just going to be very, it's going to be taken away from the moment. There's going to be a lot of distraction. None of the guests are going to be able to pay attention to the speeches. No one's going to be able to, the photographer and videographer is not going to be able to capture what they actually need to in that moment. So I was like, why don't we either, right away, just before, like when salads are out, let's get right into speeches and then entrees come out. Or if, that's too much of a problem, let's just do it at the end of dinner.
Yeah.
And I can't remember which one they agreed to, but they were like, yeah, we didn't think about that. We want our speeches to actually be heard because it's really important to us. So yeah, they kind of went with the flow there.
So one minor thing that is annoying that you've experienced that like doesn't take into account your knowledge and your expertise that couples sometimes ask for is how they time speeches.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like we had a similar thing where they wanted every 15 minutes someone to kind of talk and then a break. But that doesn't always work with catering. Catering was late at this one. So we're like, let's just do speeches. I talked to the coordinator, the timeline, and I talked to the vendors, the photo and video, and they're like, let's just knock them all out back to back.
Yes.
So that's what we did. One of the things that I see is when I arrive, people are in my space when I'm trying to set up. They're already using my DJ table for whatever, for decorations. There are people in the place where I'm trying to set up. Also, when they're coming up, when I'm setting up and they're like interrupting with like questions about like, do you have a microphone for me? Like basic kind of questions. I understand they're concerned, but it's always frustrating as a vendor when I get into kind of work mode where I'm like, let me task this out in a sequence. And it's like, first thing, we're going to set up. Then we're going to like make sure it looks beautiful. Then we're going to like, go over the timeline with the venue, with the photographer, with the vendors, all that stuff. And then we're going to make the party happen, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, it really is throwing you off.
Interrupting the flow. Yeah.
Yes. And it's throwing me out. Like I and get distracted and get stressed. And so that's a minor annoyance. It's not a big thing. It's nothing. If it ever becomes a problem, I'm like, oh, could we get you guys to move real quick? We're just trying to set up, that kind of thing. I'm always nice about it. But that was one thing that does happen. People who don't know how to hold a microphone. This happens literally every wedding, and literally every wedding, I tell them, who's giving a speech? Oh, we got Todd, we got Mary, great. Todd, Mary, I'm sure you know how to hold a microphone, but I'm a DJ, and I got to tell you, every weekend people do it wrong. Hold it like ice cream. Keep it right here. Close enough to lick. Please don't lick it. Also, please don't drop it. It's very expensive. It's like $900. Do not drop that thing. Anyways, but yeah, they'll hold it, and then they're like, no, I know what I'm talking about, DJ. And then immediately during their speech, it goes down to about their waist. Yeah. And sometimes it's even pointed out. It's not even pointed towards them at all. And then nobody can hear them. Yep. And I'm cranking the gains as much as I possibly can to try to pick up some echo, some bit of their speech to put through our speakers. But I can't do it. I can't get it loud enough because they are nowhere near the thing they need to project into.
Yep.
That's the other thing is they'll whisper.
Yeah.
They'll be real quiet. Because they hear themselves and they try to be quiet. They don't want to be too loud. You got to project. Same with anything. And again, I go over that too.
The best relief I feel like I get in those situations is because there's nothing you can really do once they start holding it down here.
You have to interrupt them. Be rude to do it. Yeah.
But the guest can.
Sometimes the crowd does.
And that's the best is when they're like, hold it up to your face.
Yes.
And they're like, okay. And they're like,
louder.
Yeah.
They'll tell that you got to talk louder. That's the best.
Because then I'm like, thank you.
Thank you.
And then sometimes they do. Sometimes they're annoyed then.
Yeah.
It's really funny where I've seen people that, you tell them that, or they're like holding it here, and then they actually talk into it, and it scares them.
Yes.
They hear their own voice, and I'm like, whoa, and then they hold it out here.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, you were doing good.
You were doing good.
It was supposed to be that close. Like,
yeah. And it's so funny because then people are the whole speech for the 45 minutes, then they're just whispering. You can barely hear them.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, let's hear it for it because I know how to use the microphone and I'm projecting. So they're like, so I do feel like crowds kind of realize, oh, that person wasn't using the mic correctly.
And it's hilarious if there's times where I've assisted you, and I'm like running the volume on a mic, and it's like way up here for them, and as soon as it goes back to you, I'm cranking it way down, and you guys are like the same volume.
Yes, yeah.
And
because I'm gonna blow everyone's ears.
You know how to actually do it, and that's really funny.
I always appreciate when somebody really does know what they're doing. They talk on microphones. You can tell all the time for a living. They hold it appropriately. They're plenty loud enough. They project, and they will, adjust the cadence of their voice accordingly, which is really interesting and fun. But anyway, another thing that came up is people who stand in front of the speaker with the microphone. Causes feedback. You ever heard that shriek? You ever been at an event where you hear "wing," that big ring, that shriek? That is because the microphone is picking up its own sound from the speaker. This is a big no-no. Don't put the microphone in front of the speaker. You'll get feedback.
That's probably the second thing you say after how to hold the microphone.
That's right. Don't stand
Where do
in front
I
of the
stand?
speaker.
Not there.
Dude, I got to tell you, my poor assistant, Chum, he was awesome. Like, he kept telling the people, I was like, you just go stand there and you make them come to you. Don't, and then he would grab the mic and he would say, like, make sure you don't stand, just stand next to the couple. It's better for pictures. It's better for sound. What's the first thing they did? They slowly walked away from the couple and right in front of the speaker. And so it sounded, I had to turn it way down. And it kept trying to, like, the whole time they're talking, I'm trying to crank it, but I'm getting feedback, I'm getting issues because they're standing right in front of the speaker. The exact worst place to stand. They could stand anywhere. They could stand the spot where we told them to. And then they also have the microphone out. So it's just like the worst of the worst.
And going to episode 10 of when we were talking about, like, people kind of putting the blame on you.
Yes.
Like, that's kind of, when people hear that noise, then they're like, whoa, what are you doing, DJ?
This
like,
DJ is so unprofessional. He doesn't know how to run sound equipment.
Which there's been times where, like, I can see it coming and I mute the channel, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then
because they walk right in front of it or
is
whatever.
This thing on?
Is this thing on? What's going on? And then they turn it off or they mute it or.
That's probably actually another thing that I can kind of add to that is when they're messing with the mic.
Yes.
Is they're like, test. And they're slapping and stuff.
Bump.
When we've gotten there, we have tested the mics.
Yeah.
We've checked how loud they are. We walk around the room. We listen to them. They're ready to go.
Yeah.
We know exactly how they're going to sound. Yeah. But this
is the DJ Insider Podcast, and a bit of insider information that I'm telling you every wedding DJ is frustrated by is that people who don't know how to use the microphone properly, and then they walk and they go to a spot they shouldn't with the microphone.
Yeah.
That's it. I think for most, of course, people deal with requests, but I'm telling you, that's the number one annoyance.
Yep.
Is because then we look unprofessional. People can't hear you. We're trying to make you be heard. This is a big day. We're trying to help you keep it short and sweet. We try to tell the couple, like, hey, keep it short and sweet. I also, when I'm lining the couples up, I go over who's giving a speech, and I go, how's your speech? Have you practiced? And I'm like, if you get stressed, just say, I love you both. You guys look amazing. Thank you for being, keep it. I was like, if you're panicked, just get out of it.
Yeah.
You
don't have to go into a
you don't have to read all 4 pages
story
of your thing, just keep it short and sweet.
Yep.
They're going to love you. It's okay. You don't have to give a symposium on why they're your best friend.
Yep.
I know you want to. That's great. So
the only thing that people will ever be bothered by in a speech is if something offensive was said that would embarrass the couple or any guest at the wedding, or if you are going on way too long.
Way too long. Yeah.
People's attention spans are just getting shorter and shorter, and like sitting there for a few minutes, it can be difficult. Yeah, for sure. Another one that I actually did just kind of think of too was anything that can really interrupt and break up my dance floor. So if we're gonna do dance floor games or anything planned bouquet and garter, it is better to do as many back-to-back or early on the dance floor. Yeah. If it's staggered and it's every 30 minutes we have something to do that just breaks up the dance floor, makes people have to leave, it's a lot more difficult getting them back then.
100%.
Depends on the crowd. Sometimes people are ready. They're ready to go. They're like on the edge of the dance floor during bouquet toss or whatever, and they're like ready to get back out there, but that's always difficult. And I always urge couples like, hey, let's do this earlier in the night. Let's do this to open the dance floor, or but yeah, don't stagger them. That can always be a little problematic.
Yes. Yeah. Another thing, we've talked a little bit about like guests making requests and how they do it. But when a guest comes up and is like, I'm about to leave, can you play my song? Like, they've already come up a couple of times. We haven't played it yet. That to me should be an indicator as maybe they don't want to play it,
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, but I'm about to leave. Can you play this song? Or my friends are here, or my kids are, about to get going to bed. Can we hear, Frozen or whatever? They.
Yep.
On that note, real quick, the funniest thing, and maybe this is a whole other conversation, is sometimes the way people request it is really funny. First of all, they generally don't know the right name of the song. They misname the song. They go by the hook and not by the name of the song. Like or they misname the artist. They're like, oh no, I'm pretty sure it's by Tom Petty. I'm like, nope, that's Bruce Springsteen. Nope, whatever. For a fact that's. But then I'm always like, maybe I should just look it up. Did he cover it? Do they? But I'm always right. But sometimes they'll start singing the song to you.
Yeah.
You know, like, what's that one that's like, and I know immediately what it is. You know, it's Tayo Cruz, Dynamite. But I'm like, well, how did that go? Maybe a couple more. Like, sing a little bit more.
I have asked people to sing just to like.
And I just have
get
to
a
keep
laugh.
singing.
Yeah.
It's great.
No, keep going. I haven't gotten it yet. Sorry. And no, I'm happy you brought that up.
Hands up.
There's a guy, like a week or two ago. He was like an older guy, and he got like right in my ear. Like I could feel his like hot breath, and and he didn't know the name of the song, but you already gonna know what it is. And he's like, "Hey, can you play some Apple Bottom Jeans?"
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
love that one.
"Yeah, low,
Yeah,
Flo Rida,
yeah.
But hey, can you play some Apple Bottom Jeans?" Like right in my ear. I was like,
Or they say that, but they're like, no, it's Get Low. I'm like, nope, it's not.
"Yep."
Apple Bottom Jeans is definitely for, they're misattributing.
I think even before that one, it was, "Hey, can you play some of that to the window to the wall?"
Hey, dude.
But that hurt. That was painful. Yeah.
It's great too when people come up. I think some people have kind of got the message, or they at least understand. So they come up and they're so complimentary. And I'm like, when's the ask coming? They're like, dude, you guys are killing it. Great vibe tonight. Awesome vibe. Could we get some, Motown Philly or whatever? It's so funny, the thing that comes after all that praise, that song.
Yeah.
And it's usually something that's like weird or off the wall or like nothing, with what we're already doing. Could we get some Cotton Eye Joe?
Yep.
Like it's so interesting when people come up and they request songs that you wouldn't expect them to request.
Totally different direction.
Yes.
Where the dance floor is at.
Barbie Girl Aqua.
And it just kind of makes you laugh. Like, I'm never really even like too upset unless they escalate further past that. Yeah. But if it's just that, then that's just like hilarious. And I think and I thought this was always the safe answer is like, hey man, like this is kind of how the dance floor is going. I'm really sticking to like what the bride and groom gave me and their request. But I thought that was a safe answer. But then you told me one guy was like, the bride and groom are wrong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, whoa,
Yeah, no,
that's
some people don't have enough respect for the couple whose wedding they're attending as a guest.
Yeah.
And that they're not paying for. That person was not in the bridal party, I think he was a family friend. He was not paying for in any way. He was there as a guest. And he just thought, this party is being run all wrong and I should run it better. That to me is so silly. And do your own party, guy. Like, where are you right now? It's like going up to it's very similar to if you go to, say, a Third Eye Blind concert and you're yelling at the band to play songs that are not their songs. Like, and everyone came to hear the songs from that band. Like, everyone came here to celebrate with the couple. I know it's not the same because wedding DJs play all kinds of music, but
yeah,
it's similar. It's similar to
I know
your
everyone's having a great
expectation
time,
your expectation is way off of what this night is about, And when you yell at a comedian, be funny. What? Shut up and maybe I'll be able to,
Yeah, only if we could heckle back. That would just be.
Yeah. Sometimes I do. People yell out stuff.
Yeah.
Be like, free bird. I'm like, sit down. Like, I'll yell at them. Not today. Or I'll like say, we'll get to you, sir.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. I've had that before. Because if they're not afraid to yell out while I'm on the mic, I'm not afraid to yell back,
Right.
But it doesn't happen that often. Generally, we're there. We want to have a fun time. We want the couple and their friends to have an amazing time. And we're doing everything we can to make sure that happens. But there are these minor annoyances that come up that really throw a wrench in all of that.
Yeah.
People have other plans. They want to hear their songs, not what the couple wants. Or, I know you just told me to talk in the mic the correct way, but I'm not going to do that.
And the biggest thing that I sometimes don't even really think about too much is just, especially later in the night, it's like alcohol can really change that person's confidence up and just like, we're almost babysitting a little bit. It's like, okay, it's not about you, like, but sometimes it just can push people a little further and,
Yeah.
I'm remembering now there was this wedding that I finished up and like, it was like 9 out of 10, like overall, like really solid day, solid dance floor. I had like everybody that was like coming up to me, like just telling me like, you're killing it. You're doing great. And then this like one guy, I just refused to play any of his songs all night and they were terrible. Like, it was like nothing. And he just like, we were playing, I announced last song and I was like, make some noise for Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah,
and everybody was cheering, and he literally was not stop. Boo! You suck! Just like would not stop. And
Thanks, guy.
I had people on the side that just were like, dude, like, and they kept pushing him away. They're like, stop it! Like, you're being a jerk. And then they came up to me and they're like, you're doing great. And I'm like, but that just like shot me down. I'm like, dude, come on, man.
Don't you wish you could be on the mic? Attack him. Dancers, come to my aid.
It's like 50 on 1 right now, dude. They're all like on my side.
Yeah.
Like no one's on yours.
If you dance for me, attack him. He's the enemy. Yeah.
I just love seeing the crowd that was like I wasn't even upset at him just because like I had all of them on my side. That made it so much better. Yeah.
One time, it was really a great wedding. Like it was just so epic, and everyone was kind of feeling it. Like that was kind of in the air that this is such an epic night. People are like laughing and crying and dancing and singing, and I get on the mic and I go, "Best wedding ever," and they go, "Yeah," and then someone says, "I bet you say that to all the weddings."
You caught me. No,
I was like, "Nah, babe, you're the one for me. I never cheat. It's one and only, one and done."
No, but I mean, honestly, and yeah, you can tell at the end of the night where our energy's at. Like, if we say something like that, we mean it for sure. Like,
100%.
Yeah. And if I go out of my, and I've had, the reaction is the same every time. Where usually when I'm leaving and I'm heading out, we're packed up, I'll go up to the couple and kind of talk to them and be like, hey, just thank you for having us. We had a great time. And if I really mean it, I'll tell them like, hey, your guests were fun to be around.
Yes.
I really enjoyed my time. And every time they're like, really? And they like, just kind of think I'm just saying it. And I'm like, really,
No,
I
that's
100% mean this. Like,
I'm always genuine.
I was happy to be here.
The only thing I manufacture at a wedding is energy. Is that like I act way more excited than I may be to be there.
But you're the hype guy.
That's it.
But
I never lied to the wedding. I never lied to the guests. I never like, oh, I'll definitely play it. You know, no. I'm like, all right, I write it down, or I'll get to it if I can, or if there's time, or that kind of. But I never lie to them. I never manufacture that. Why would I say that? I just want to be genuine. I want them to have a good time. It's easier to do it that way.
Yeah.
So
I'd say like my DJ persona is just me, but amplified.
That's right.
It's just
that's right.
Amplified events. That's why we named it that.
I guess. But yeah, that's it. There is. I think a lot of people think that we're BSing about that, but we're not. I genuinely try to give a compliment. The couple this Saturday, you know, they were finishing up dinner. I checked in on the time. Hey, do you guys want to do this? And we moved up the bouquet toss so because we were running out of time. The video photo we're gonna leave. So it was like, let's just knock, first dances and do that.
Yeah.
Then they get a photo and then we can just party all night. Originally they had like a 30-minute break and then we did that or whatever. But anyway, so we did that. But I came up to him and I was like, you guys are married. Isn't that crazy? Like all of the time, all the planning, like it's here. We're doing it right now. And they're like, yeah, like, just to get them to kind of connect with that moment and get them to be in touch with that. I guess it could have come across as fake, but I really meant it. I was like, this is kind of cool. You spent a year and a half or whatever planning this, and it's happening tonight, and soak it up. Soak up that moment.
Yep.
I like doing that for couples because they are stressed, because they are distracted, and they have a million things coming at them, so it is really hard for them to savor.
Yes.
But that's the one thing you should do, savor that moment. If you thought that I was going to die today and this was the last conversation we'd have, you'd savor that conversation, right?
It's a cliche, but it does go too fast.
Yes.
It really does.
But we know that. That's about every wedding. Like every wedding, this is a one-time thing.
Yeah.
So savor it, enjoy it, plan it out. Listen to the professionals that you hire. They know what they're doing. Of course, consider it, but do what you want to do. Every professional is going to be flexible and is going to deliver what you want. If it's, possible to do. But yeah, I do think that everybody has a vision and they want it to occur, but it doesn't always go that way. But to me, you want somebody who's excited, who's also going to go that extra mile to connect with you and to try to make it memorable and fun.
Yeah, we generally like this job. And I had a couple that, and this is a question that I'm always kind of like, how do I answer? I feel like I always answer it a little differently, but I was talking to them yesterday and they were booking with us and they were asking like, why are you into DJing? Like, what do you enjoy about this job?
Wow.
And I kind of was like off the bat, like really had an answer in my head. And generally it's just like walking away from every wedding I do, that feeling there's nothing I can compare that to. Yeah. When I knew that I was responsible for this party going well and people leaving and they like had a great time. Because we mentioned before, like, that's one of the biggest things when you ask somebody how was the wedding, they bring up the dance floor. Oh, it was a great party. We were dancing all night, you know, and like being responsible for that. That's such a good feeling. Yes. And walking away, I mean, there's times where I like literally been in my car and I'm like, yes, like I just like, I feel so like the adrenaline is just like going and I just feel so good. Yeah. And I'm just like, honestly, every wedding, I'm just like chasing that feeling. Like it's just so great.
Yeah.
But
I mean, DJing, I chose this. I found it through like lots of different career and different things and experiences. And it really matches a lot of my energy and my strengths and my talents. Mm-hmm. But the short answer is this is the thing that I'm good at. That, of course, people pay me for, but it's the one thing I do that I feel like genuinely makes the world a better place. Mm-hmm. We're making people happy and to make memories and celebrate on this big day in their lives. And, you know, to forget about existence for a little bit and forget about suffering.
Yeah.
We actually get to do that. And that's really cool. And yeah, I don't really build anything, but I build dance floors and I build memories. And that's what I do. And there's a lot of weird stuff that comes with this job. And so I think we started the podcast to kind of talk about that kind of stuff and like process it, but also so other people could hear like, there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens.
And you're just around a lot of positivity in general. I mean, people that are at the wedding, they want to be there. Yeah. Like any of the weddings I've been invited to, I'm like, yes, I'm so excited to go. Like you get free dinner, you know, you get to hang out, you get a drink, you get to just dance all night. Like, all those people want to be there and they want to see you. 99% of them really want to see you. Yes. Like, and that's a great feeling. Yeah. So,
but occasionally you'll get those people, the bride is wrong. Or,
very, very rarely, but
play my song or I'll beat you up.
We bring them up because they make really good stories. And in some ways it's just getting through the trauma. We have to talk about it.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
This is off topic, but I was just thinking about this. A new line that I've been kind of using lately is when I have to like grab, the couple and kind of let them know what's going on. I'm like, hey, have you seen your husband around? Have you seen your wife around?
Yes.
And then like that instantly gets a smile because they're like, oh yeah, my husband, my wife, whatever. Because they're just so not used to that yet. And I love catching them off guard. And they're like, yeah, like, so.
But that's the little thing you do that helps to remind them you're married now.
Yeah.
You know, I do the same thing when I do bouquet or garter. I'll be like, so-and-so first name or Mrs. Smith. You know, like now that you're married, you know.
That's that kind of,
Wait a minute, I'm Mrs. Smith. Yeah, that kind of thing.
That's cool.
So, yeah, that's all I got, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
appreciate you guys listening. Thanks so much. We'll keep creating them, and we'll see you on the dance floor.
Sounds good. I'm Chris.
I'm Mike.
See you guys later.
See ya.